Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm LJ if you're new to my channel. So today's video is an eyeshadow tutorial for beginners. So I'm going to be getting into the details on how to apply eyeshadow. I'm going to be giving you guys a step-to-step guide. I'm going to also be creating this look. I feel like this look is very beginner friendly. It's like a really soft, glamorous makeup look, very neutral, but it's super easy because we're playing with 4 eyeshadow shades only and they're all matte eyeshadows. I wanted to do this video for people who struggle with eyeshadow. I know a lot of people always ask me like to do a beginner friendly eyeshadow makeup tutorials. That's what I'll be doing in this video. So if you're interested in seeing this video, then keep on watching. But if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and join the LJ family. Also hit the bell so you're always notified of a new upload. So without further ado, let's get into the video.
Okay, LJ, welcome to a channel where it's poppin'. Welcome to a YouTube.
Alright guys, so I'm all up close and personal in this video because we are doing eyeshadow and I want you guys to be able to see exactly what I'm doing. So the number one rule when it comes to applying eyeshadow that is very important is blending. Blending is so important because it allows your eyeshadow to look nice and smooth and well transitioned. That's the number one rule. So first, when it comes to eyeshadow, I like to start with an eyeshadow base. It's so important for you to prime your eyelids just the same way it's important for you to prime your skin before applying makeup. The reason why it's important is because it allows your eyeshadow to stick onto your eyelids. It allows the eyeshadow to blend really well and stay put. So an eyeshadow base can be an eyeshadow primer or it can be a concealer. So if you're going to use a concealer, you want to make sure that you're using an oil-free matte cream concealer. That type of concealer is suitable for eyeshadow. You don't want to use a concealer that is oily. You don't want to use a concealer that is too liquidy, it's too runny. You want to use an oil-free matte formula cream concealer. My favorite is the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer in the shade Amande. I really like this concealer because it's tacky enough for eyeshadow, but if you're the type of person who doesn't really want to use a concealer, you want to use an eyeshadow base. A really good eyeshadow base is the Urban Decay Primer Potion. I feel like this is a really good eyeshadow base to apply, but for me and of my deeper skin, I like using this concealer instead because I feel like it gets the eyeshadow to show more than the primer potion. So I'm going to be using this in this video today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a flat brush like this. It's ideal for applying the concealer on your eyelids and it's ideal for cleaning up your eyebrows. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to lightly dip into this concealer and then starting from the middle of my eyebrows, I'm just going to clean off my eyebrows. And then whatever's left on the brush, I'm going to place it on my eyelid. I like doing this first before cleaning up the front of my eyebrows just to kind of get a little bit of that concealer off the brush first. And then whatever's left, I just come forward and use it to clean the front. You don't want to place too much concealer around this area right here because it's going to look really fake. So I like to just place a little bit of concealer towards the inner portion of my eyebrows. So next I'm just going to spread this concealer around so that I am priming my eyelids. I'm placing a small amount, I'm not placing too much so that it doesn't get too creamy. Basically, you want to neutralize your eyes. You want your eyes to be the same color as like your under eye before applying eyeshadow. Alright, so now that the eyes are neutral, they look, you know, one tone, I'm just going to jump right into eyeshadow. So if you want the pigmentation on the eyeshadow to show more, don't set this concealer with any powder. I would leave it tacky like that and just jump right into eyeshadow. If you set it with a setting powder, I feel like it takes away from the pigmentation of the eyeshadow and it doesn't really come out, you know, as pigmented. The richness of the eyeshadow doesn't really show. So once you apply the concealer, you just want to dive right into the eyeshadow. So for today's eyeshadow, I'm going to be using the Tarte Pro. This is the Amazonian Clay Palette. I love this eyeshadow palette because I feel like it's a very beginner-friendly palette. I love how they place all the matte shades on one side and all the shimmer shades on one side. Alright, so the first thing when you want to start applying eyeshadow is you want to start with an eyeshadow shade that is slightly darker than your eyelids. And then as you keep applying the eyeshadow, I feel like you can go even darker depending on the eye makeup look that you're going for. So even even if you're going for like a smoky eye, you can apply darker shades until you hit that black shade. So you want to start with the lightest transition shade, but the lightest transition shade should be a few shades darker than your eyelids. So the first shade I'm gonna pick up in this palette is the shade Whimsy. This is like a brown shade, but it's a warm tone brown. So your first shade is going to start on your crease area. So you want to start off with a crease blending brush. So a brush that I really like using is the Morphe M506 brush. So this is what the brush looks like. It's very tapered, very small. This brush is very ideal for people with smaller eyelids because it's perfect. It gets right on the crease. Now, I get a lot of questions like, what if I have bigger eyelids? So for bigger eyelids, definitely recommend going in with the Morphe M441 brush, or a brush very similar to this brush. So this brush is also a blending crease brush, but it's very fluffy. So you want to start off with a fluffy brush. You don't want to use a dense brush. Fluffy brushes are always ideal for eyeshadow, and that is why I really like them. So I definitely recommend this for people with bigger eyelids, and the Morphe M506 brush, which is smaller for smaller eyelids. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Morphe M506 brush because I have smaller eyelids. But before doing that, you guys see this creasing on my eyes. You don't want to go in with eyeshadow when you see that creasing. You just want to go back in with the brush that you use to place the concealer and get rid of that creasing on your eyelids right before you apply the eyeshadow, so that you have like that smooth base. And then what you want to do is immediately go in, pick up that eyeshadow shade. So you just want to tap it on somewhere so that the excess powder just goes away. And what you want to do is you want to hold the brush at the tip of the handle. So you don't want to hold the brush like right here, because it's not going to allow you to blend the eyeshadow well. You want to hold the brush at the tip of the handle, like somewhere around here, because it gives you better control of applying and blending the eyeshadow. And this just kind of gives you a softer and smoother blend. So you want to start on the outer V portion of your eyes and bring it in towards the inner portion, and you want to only focus on the crease area because we're gonna place an eyelid shade. So if your eyelids crease in, you have a really deep crease, what you want to do is you want to raise your eyebrows so that you can get that eyeshadow on your crease area. So you just want to go back and forth in windshield wiper motion and just apply that shade. Alright, so as you guys can see, this shade is just kind of like a transition shade. It's a warm tone shade, and it's just on your crease to make your eyeshadow look really blended. So we're gonna move on to the next shade. So every time you're applying a different shade, you want to make sure that you're using a clean brush. You don't want to double dip on two different eyeshadows with the same brush. It's just going to give you like that muddy look on your eyeshadow. It's not gonna look blended, and it's not really gonna look good. So as I get deeper and deeper into the crease, you want to make sure that your eyeshadow brush is getting smaller and smaller. So because I'm going deeper into my crease, I'm gonna go in with the Morphe M507 brush. As you guys can see, this brush is smaller than the M506 brush, and I'm gonna go in with a deeper shade, and I'm gonna place that right on my crease area. So if you have bigger eyelids, I would definitely recommend going in with Morphe M330 brush. It is a fluffy blending brush, so it is soft to the touch, but I really like this brush for bigger eyelids because it's big enough, but the tip is very pointy. The next shadow that I'm going to pick up is going to be darker than this eyeshadow shade. So I'm going to pick up this shade called Edgy, and this is just like a deep brown shade. I'm saturating the tip of the brush with the shade, dusting off the excess, and I'm going to place this shade right on my crease area. So you just want to go back and forth on your crease area to apply this shade. And I like focusing the darker shades on the outer portion of my eye, just because I feel like it gives it more of a better look than when you apply it all over your crease. So I'm just focusing this shade on the outer portion and bringing it in towards the inner portion, not too much, because we're gonna place an eyelid shade. So once you apply that second shade, you always want to go back to that first shade to blend those two shadows together. So I'm going back in with the same brush that I used for that first shade, dipping back into that first shade, dusting off the excess. I'm going to apply this shade where those two eyeshadow shades meet, like right around this area right here. That is where they meet. I'm using this shade to blend out both shades, and everything looks natural and very seamless. You don't want any harsh lines on your eyeshadow. You want everything to look blended. So you going back and forth with the shadows allows it to be well blended. So if you feel like that first shade has, you know, faded off a little bit, you can go back in with that shade and just pack it on there. If you feel like you've over blended it, you can definitely go back and forth to make sure that the pigmentation is enough based on your liking. So if you want to go in with a darker shade, you definitely can. But because today's makeup look, we're keeping it very simple because this is a beginner-friendly makeup tutorial, I'm not going to go in with a darker shade. I feel like smoky eyes can get a little bit more complex. So the next shadow that I'm going to be using, I'm going to place that on my eyelid area. So for the eyelids, there's so many different brushes that you can use depending on the type of makeup look you're going for. Because today I'm placing a matte eyeshadow shade on my lid, I'm going to be using the Morphe M456 brush for this. So this is a very skinny, very small tapered brush. It is also a blending brush for the crease area, but I like to use this brush also for my eyelids because I feel like it picks up powder a lot better than a flat brush. So if you're going for a shimmer or a metallic eyelid shade and you have bigger eyelids, I would definitely say use this type of brush. So this is a flat brush. This is a brush that picks up shimmer eyeshadow really well, and this is big enough for people with bigger eyelids, or you can use a flat brush that's bigger than this, but this would be really nice to pick up shimmer or metallic eyeshadow shades. If you have smaller eyelids, I would definitely recommend a brush like this one. Now this brush is much smaller for people with smaller eyelids like myself, so you definitely want a smaller brush like this. So I'm gonna pick up this shade right here called Bold. I'm literally saturating the whole brush with this shade, dusting off the excess just a little bit, just one tap. I'm gonna place this shadow on my eyelid area, and what I'm doing is I'm literally just placing it on there. I'm not going back and forth like this trying to blend it out. You don't want to go back and forth because it will move the other eyeshadows you place on there. And what you want to do is you want to go right where your crease is, so around this part right here. Make sure you cover up your whole eyelid. And then once you apply that shade, you want to go back in with that deep brown shade. So as you guys can see, once I'm applying one shadow, I'm going back in with the previous shadow to blend everything out. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up that shade Edgy, and I'm going to blend out right where these two shadows meet, which is right here. Make sure everything looks nice and faded. And then what you want to do is you also want to bring it where the crease is, because that's also where those two shadows meet. Alright, so for the inner portion of your eye, you want to use an eyeshadow shade that is lighter than your lid shade. So if you put a shimmer shade on your eyelid, you want a shimmer shade on your inner portion to be lighter than your eyelid shade. I feel like that gives your eyeshadow a little pop, a little spark. So for the inner portion of my eye, I'm gonna pick up this shade right here called Classic, which is like a super bright, practically white eyeshadow shade. And you definitely want to use a brush that is small enough to get over here. So a really good brush for shimmer eyeshadow is this type of brush. This is the Morphe M321 brush. This type of brush is perfect for the inner portion for shimmer eyeshadow, to place it right on the tear duct. But because I'm using a matte eyeshadow shade, I'm gonna go in with a flat brush. So if you're gonna do a matte eyeshadow look, you want your inner portion shade to go on with a flat brush. So using this brush, I'm just gonna place this right on the inner portion to give the eyeshadow a little pop. And you also want to bring this downwards towards your tear duct. And this is totally optional. You don't have to do this, okay? So as usual, going back in with the previous eyeshadow, I'm going to go ahead and blend out this shade. And literally that is it for the top of the eye. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my eyeliner, put on my lashes, and I'm gonna come back to finish the bottom of my eyes. All right, so I went ahead and did my eyeliner and popped some lashes on. So I do have an eyeliner and an eyelash tutorial for those of you guys who are interested in learning how to apply eyeliner and putting on lashes. I will leave the link to those videos in the description box. They're gonna be in the makeup for beginners playlist. So I'm gonna move on to the bottom of my eyes. So for the bottom of the eyes, I feel like it's a little bit easier. So for the bottom of the eye, you just want to go in with the same transition shades that you use on your crease. You want to use a smaller brush just because that area is going to be a little bit smaller. So this right here is the Morphe M213 brush. I'm picking up that shade Whimsy, which is that first shade that I applied on my crease area. I'm going to dust off the excess, and I like to start from the outer portion of my eye, and I'm just going back and forth on that area, bringing it towards the inner portion. And you always want to place the lighter shades like right below your bottom eye, so like right here. And then what I like to do is I like to bring it all the way up where this top part meets. So you want to go in with the next shade. So the next shade that I used was the dark brown shade called Edgy, and using the same brush, I'm going to place this on the inner portion. And because the bottom of your eyes are small, it doesn't matter if you use the same brush with the same shade, just because those two shadows are gonna blend together anyway. Then you want to go back in with that first shade and blend them together. So that is it for the bottom eyes. It's very, very simple. If you master the top eye, you can definitely do the bottom eye. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish off this makeup look, and then I'll be back with the final look. All right, so that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this video was helpful. For those of you guys who've been struggling with applying eyeshadow, I wanted to make this video just for the general population, not only hooded eyes, because I feel like a lot of people who even don't have hooded eyes also struggle with applying eyeshadow. And I know eyeshadow can get very challenging, especially when you're a beginner. So I hope this video was helpful. If it was, leave me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and join the LJ family. Also hit the bell so you're always notified of a new upload. But other than that, I will see you guys in my next video.
KLJ, welcome to a channel where it's poppin'. You better subscribe, got it on lock, yeah. Got it on lock, yeah. More likes, more views, yeah. You can leave a comment too. Welcome to our YouTube. Welcome to our YouTube.